So Chef Smalls, what's it like being back in Spartanburg?
Well, it's a homecoming, isn't it?
Yes.
Having a great time. I think probably what's exciting for me is to have an opportunity to spend time with the young folk, the kids, and see where they are, and kind of mirror their experience into mine. I certainly remember being in those same seats and probably thinking some of the same things that they are about what's to come next.
What was it like your homecoming last night at the library? You had a lot of friends.
Oh, it was tremendous. The homecoming was unexpected. A lot of faces I hadn't seen in years, and people with stories. People brought old letters that I had written them years ago. I was in shock. And then one girl had borrowed sheet music from me 50 plus years ago. And she says, you know, I always return things. I was like, okay. I mean, it was tremendous. It was really a homecoming. Yeah.
When did you start cooking? And did you learn from your mother, your father, or?
I learned from my mom initially. I mean, she was the one who did most of the cooking in the house. I started as early as 5. I mean, at my mother's home, if you liked something, you had to learn to make it. And I loved everything that she didn't want to make over and over again. And so she put me in a chair at 5 years old in front of the stove. And the rest is history.
When did you know that you had a voice? Because I can even hear it just with your laughter of what a great voice you have.
Well, I think other people knew how to voice before I did. At least one that they thought should be heard on a regular basis and later paid for. But you know, I started my music lessons when I was 8, and around that same time, you know, I started singing, and I saw singing as a way to kind of express who I was, my individual quality, and sort of artistic approach to being creative. And then it was clear at a certain point that this was a profession I wanted to pursue.
Tell me a little bit about your new cookbook, and why should people pick it up?
Well, between Harlem and Heaven, you know, which is really more than a cookbook, but it's about the celebration of the people of the African diaspora. How through slavery, Africa changed the global culinary conversation. You know, my first book, Grace the Table, really spoke a lot about low country cooking, the food of the Gullah Islands, and the food I grew up on, even in Spartanburg, because my father and my grandfather had moved the family from Charleston to Spartanburg, but it didn't change the way we ate. And that was powerful food to me. It represented generations of a way of life for people. And I introduced that to the New York audiences about 20 years ago. But I took a 10-year hiatus from restaurants after my 3rd restaurant. And when I decided that I was going to do another restaurant, I really felt there was more of a culinary conversation to be had. So I simply started doing my research, and while doing that, I developed a concept really that encompasses the food of forced migrating African slaves on 5 continents. So in the new book, Between Harlem and Heaven, I wanted to showcase that culinary expression, which was a huge undertaking. So I had to create a culinary discipline and vocabulary that sort of mirrored their experience.
What's the best part of cooking for you? What do you get out of it, besides good food?
It's how I realize my fullness of expression. It's how I become alive and well in my passion, which is cooking. So it's something that I have to do. It's not just a profession, it's a way of life. It's how I breathe.
What advice would you give to aspiring chefs like these young people here?
Well, I mean, my advice really would be to feel that cooking was a gift that you give others. Growing up, I understood quickly that the person who cooked the food had the power, and the person who fed you nurtured you. And so it's not just a profession, but it's a calling, and it is a gift that you can give others. So I would advise them to be, purposeful and courageous and sincere and authentic.
What advice would you give to people who maybe they mess up a recipe and they get discouraged?
Well, mess up the recipe, get discouraged, then start all over. Get it right, get it done, and keep giving it your all. Because it's like anything in life, you're going to be discouraged. There's either going to be a messed up recipe, either by you, or the stove temperature drops, or somebody stomps on the floor and the cake falls. And it's not the end of the world. In some instances, you look at that and say, okay, what can I learn from it? But can I turn this into something else? Which I've done. As far as I'm concerned, when I cook, there are no failures. It may not come out exactly the way I had hoped it would, but I make it into something that is equally as good.
As long as it's edible, right? I saw your Instagram page, and I saw the photos of your upcoming spot on the Chew with Cicely Tyson.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. And you made her a special dinner or lunch?
Yes, a dinner. The Chew wanted me to do a special dinner at my apartment in Harlem for that unique experience of being entertained at home with Alexander Smalls. And they asked me to invite my friends. Well, Cicely Tyson has been a friend I've known for 30 years. She knew my family, my parents. She has always been there like a rock for all of my achievements and accolades. And it's normal for her to come to my house for dinner. So having her was such a pleasure. And then I invited my friend Tamara Tooney, who is an actress and was star in Law and Order. She's also a producer and director. And then another friend, John Stewart, who is a young actor in Luke Cage. And then there was my wine guy who kind of filled out the party. And then Carla. We had an awesome time. It should air the 26th or the 27th on ABC.
What was your menu?
I did an amazing menu, all from the book. We started with the collard green salad. We then had the peri-peri shrimp. We did the fried okra and the curried cauliflower. There was the black bass with fonio. And Miss Tyson brought a fantastic carrot cake that her niece had made, and 2 amazing bottles of champagne.
Sounds wonderful. Well, thank you so much, and good luck on your book tour.
Thank you. Pleasure.